Hello, and in this episode, I'm going to be going over some of my thoughts with the current updates and upcoming Season 8 of Sea of Thieves. I know there has been a lot more, but I will explain why I'm diving more into Sea of Thieves here when I get through this topic. Also, my friend Anime D Senpai will be reviewing his thought or giving his thoughts and review of the next two episodes of Chucky, the TV series, episodes 3 and 4 from season 1. And finally, the two of us will have a conversation where I will mainly be trying to talk about showing versus telling when it comes to writing. And we kind of sidestep a little bit into other topics because we get talking about Star Wars. But that's just, this is your chance to finally hear some of the constant talks the two of us have over Star Wars. So, a lot of people have always wondered, you've probably heard me mention before that I talk with a friend about Star Wars or got into an argument with a friend about Star Wars. This is one of those talks. So I hope you will enjoy these three topics that I have planned for today. And before we jump into the episode, I want to say that this episode was actually supposed to go up on Wednesday. I had to re-record this because I just didn't have time to edit everything together. And I had fallen behind due to my work schedule. So, with work and just having to do a bunch of stuff, I didn't have time to release Monday's episode on Monday. I actually ended up releasing that today. And then I released this one. This should be going up on Thursday. And we should still have Friday, but it might be late Friday evening by the time I get Fridays up. So I hope you all sit back and enjoy this episode of the Writer Wizard Podcast. Alright, so to begin with, I am going to talk about my experiences with Sea of Thieves again. This isn't really a review of the game. I already did a review in the past, but I'm going to just give my thoughts on some of the recent updates and what I've heard with Season 8. Now, with the recent updates, I have still noticed that I don't know if it's me or if it's anyone else, but there seems to be an issue with I'm not clipping as much, but I do clip once in a while. And what I mean by clipping, I don't know if that's the proper term that the seasoned players use, but I could be standing on my ship, and then suddenly I'm 5 feet deep in water and 10 feet away from my ship. Another thing too that I've had problems with is I could be running from the tavern all the way to my ship, which is docked as soon as I get in game or just any time. And for every 5 steps I take forward, I'm pushed back 2. I don't know what the issue is, and I'm not the only one that has this issue. My daughter, who plays on PC, she has this issue. Sometimes her issues are worse, but that could just be due to us playing it on a laptop there. I don't know, but I am playing on an Xbox One. So I don't know, because I shouldn't be having any problems. Usually with console games, it's made for the console, so therefore it shouldn't have any issues. Um, as far as the PvP changes, with shorter crews or smaller crews getting less wait times, that's fine. But I really wish they would do something about the load time on the black screen. Like, okay, so if you're going to make us wait 19 seconds, because like I said, I play alongside my daughter most of the time. And in the future, I would like to get into doing this on Twitch. I would love to become a Twitch partner. I like this game. I would actually like to play this game, I should say. Not that I like the game, because I do enjoy some of the aspects. I'm not too thrilled about the whole PvP thing. And I know there are a lot of people that say, oh, well, it's a pirate game. Yes, I understand it's a pirate game. I understand that. But how do I put this? There should be some sort of respect. There should be some sort of, here's an example, okay? I was helping my daughter try to complete going to all the shrines. All she had to do is swim down, swim up. Well, we were at this last shrine, and we went and got all the treasure. She dove down, went into the shrine, and then came back to the ship. I went down, completed the shrine, got all the treasure. She helped me bring it on board. We started sailing away, but it was raining. And it was my mistake because I had put powder kegs on the ship. Well, as soon as we got struck by lightning, the ship blew up. And I learned, I didn't have the powder kegs on the top of the ship. I had them down in the hold. I thought, okay, maybe down in the hold, they're safe. I didn't think lightning was going to destroy the, powder keg under the ship, basically. But it did, and that's my fault. I totally accept that. But then the game reloads us and puts us clear across the map from where we died. And on top of it, when we finally got back to the island, because it was raining, like I said, and I wanted to take shelter at an island, I said, okay, we'll wait until the storm is over here at this island, and we'll just keep fixing, we'll empty the ship out, and then we'll take sail, and we'll go straight to go sell our stuff. And when we got back to the island, we had seen our stuff floating in the water, and we started collecting it, and this crew came along while we were in the water trying to get our stuff, well, I was behind the wheel trying to angle so we could use the harpoon, and she was in the water, and a crew of 3 just came along and wiped our ship out. Now, they say, okay, well, everyone's at the same level. I'm sorry, if you have 3 experienced players going against 2 newbies, and yes, I am a newbie, I full-heartedly admit I'm new to this game. I have only been playing since mid-August. How is that fair? Because I have learned some of the mechanics. I haven't learned all of the mechanics. And we were focused on something completely different. And this other ship just comes in. I think it was actually a brigantine. So there could have even possibly been up to 4. But I definitely saw 3. And they just instantly, took us out. We didn't even get a chance to really defend ourselves. If I hadn't jumped overboard at the last second, I actually would have died, and I tried to save us some of our treasure, and I told my daughter, once the mermaid pops up, go get our ship wherever it is. Here's the thing. When you die, though, and again, maybe this is just me, but when you die, for instance, because we're a two-person crew, it's supposed to take 19 seconds. Well, that's fine. But then it takes like 45 seconds to a minute be on a black screen with a little wheel in the corner. If you've played the game, you know what I'm talking about. Well, you get sent to your ship after it's been sunk. Why does it take so long? Why does it take a minute? If anybody knows, please put that down in the comments below. But anyways, now they're making this more about PvP. Where I'm at right now with this game is half of me is on the verge of wanting to quit it and to say, this ain't worth the money. And I'm not going to pay to... I mean, there's stuff in the store I want to buy, but I don't want to waste good money if I'm going to end up quitting this game. And that's how frustrating this game can get. The only reason that one time was so frustrating, even though, yes, I've been sunk many a times, is because I had a treasure that I have gotten very rarely. I've only gotten it one other time, and both times I've had this treasure, I've been sunk by another player. The first time I had it, I was attacked by 2 skeleton ships and a megalodon. Not all at the same time, but one after another. And then finally a player came along and wiped out my ship. It was a galleon that wiped out my ship. And now this time, the storm blew up my ship because it hit my powder keg. So like I said, I admit that was my fault. I still didn't know a lot about the game. I didn't know having a powder keg in the hold would ignite if you get struck by lightning. And don't tell me, oh, well, it would in the real world. Because you know what? You cannot go to the bottom of the sea and not get crushed by the depth, the pressure. Or survive with air bubbles that come out of sea anemone or whatever those coral thingies are. Those coral tubes that shoot up air bubbles. You can't survive by going over to one of those in real life. So, no. I mean, I didn't think that real world mechanics were going to play a factor here. If anything, I thought, okay, the lightning will strike the ship and it just might cause a fire. And since the fire's on top of the ship and the powder keg is safely below, it won't cause it to blow up. Now I know differently, and now I am very careful. If I'm going to get a powder keg, I go sell it right away. And yes, I sell powder kegs. Why? Because they're worth reputation at the market. And with the Merchants Guild. So, yes, I pick those up. They're easy, quick things I can sell that give me merchant points. And no, I don't raise an emissary flag for the sheer reason I don't want other players to come after me. I'm trying to learn right now before I go play other players. And I hear a lot of channels talking about the possibility, which with as long as this game has been out, let's face it, doesn't seem like it's really going to be a possibility. But they say there's a possibility that maybe Rare will introduce PvE servers for people who want to play the Tall Tales and play through the story. But I hear these people, and they talk about, oh well, if they turn that off, then the players won't get any gold or treasure that they can sell. It's like, okay, so what's the point? Just the story? I don't get nothing. I don't get no reward. I don't get no commendation. I don't get any unlocked items at the store. That's bull. So, as a person who would like to try to play through the Tall Tales, which look very interesting. I've seen clips of people playing them. People who are experienced, who have full crews of 4 or 6, who play through the Tall Tales. Here is my thoughts. So, Rare, I hope you're listening, and I hope you pay attention to this, because this might work out in the best case for everyone. So, any player who is in an active Tall Tale and has made it to at least the first checkpoint is safe from other players. But only other players. Skeleton ships can still get you. Megalodons can still get you. The weather can still get you. The world, the things around the world can still harm you. You can still be a target. I can take out skeleton ships. I'm new, but I can at least take those out. I haven't really fought a ghost ship yet, but I might be able to take those out too. Now, I did see this one thing, and I wasn't really attacked, where I saw a fleet of ghost ships. I think it was somebody else's event, because I had just cleared a fortress, and as I got back to my ship, this tower thing rose up was sticking out of the water, and there was a bunch of ghost ships all over the place around it. And I think they were firing at each other, so I don't know what that was or what was going on, but it looked interesting. It looked amazing. I would like to be in that story, So my thoughts are this, when you make it to the first checkpoint, because that should be no hard task, just getting to the first checkpoint. Once you make it there, you're safe from other players. If they shoot cannonballs at you, they're wasting their ammo. It's not going to do any damage to your ship. You don't have to worry. They can't board your ship, meaning the only people that can climb up the ladder are you. That's it. If any other player tries to board, even if they try to fire themselves over, they will fall through your ship. They can't touch anything on your ship. None of your treasure. Nothing. Your ship becomes ghostly to them. Now you, obviously, the player who's in the Tall Tale, you will see the other ship, but you can't fire at them either. Your ship will do 0 damage to them as well. So there is no reason, once somebody fires a cannon at you, and here's an even added bonus. There could be a special flag. A flag that looks exactly like a tail. You could even make it where there are different tails for different, and the only way to use these tails so no one's cheating is per the quest. So I don't even know the names of any of these tales because I haven't bothered. But let's say the Pirate's Life, the one with Jack Sparrow. So, I don't know. You have a monkey tail that you can hang off your flag. It replaces the flag. It looks like a tail waving in the wind. Instead of a flag, you have a tail that you put up. And when other players see that, they can go, oh, that person's doing a tall tale. It's not even worth bothering trying to mess with them because we can't do anything to them anyway. Now, if other players want to take out skeleton ships and ghost ships and follow you around, okay. But as long as you're in the tall tale, you're safe from the other player. But the second you stop the tall tale, the second you drop that flag because you're at a checkpoint or something, I don't know how it works yet because, like I said, I haven't done it. But when you stop, then you become a target. Now, they can't follow you through any portals, so I don't know if all of the tall tales take you through portals or whatnot. But the ones that take you through portals, I mean, you'll probably be safe. They just can't follow you through. They can't unless they're on their tall tale also. So that's my plan. And then players can still get commendations. We can still get gold. We can still collect treasures on the path. You know, it's still provides us opportunity and it provides us rewards for actually playing through. Now, is this going to be the most feasible way to make money in the game? Probably not. You're just mainly doing it for the story. But there's a sense of satisfaction and reward for getting through that and getting rewarded for doing so. You know, if I wanted to read just a story, if I wanted to see a story, I'd put on a movie. If I wanted to play a story just for the game, I'd put on, I don't know, Until Dawn or something like that, or The Quarry. But here, you can actually still get a few rewards. Yeah, it's not going to be great. It's going to be scaled down than, I don't know, going after an Athena chest like a Pirate Legend quest or a tribute chest from the shrines. It's going to be less, and you're not going to get anything great, but it'll be a nice kick in the right direction for new players. It'll give them a taste of, and it will provide some safety. And eventually, you know, once people play through all the tall tales, then they might say, hey, you know what? I've actually gotten more experience now. I'm ready to take on the world. I've gotten some money. I can afford to buy my own ship. I can afford to buy some cosmetics for my ship. I don't have to grind and scale from nothing. And it will keep the new players interested until they get on their feet, which is something that the community, everybody should want. So, oh, I got all this money. I can go start up, you know. My sense of starting up in this game has not been a very nice one. And there's been a few times where I've almost been at the point where it's like, no, I'm done with this game. Screw this. I'm not even sure I want to play anymore. I've actually, you know, I've tried to play almost every day, but there were days I was like happy I didn't play because I was so angry. And I don't know how, you know, some people have done it for so long. Because, I mean, yes, these are probably the people who have been playing since the beginning, but I gotta feel like they gotta be getting bored on some level. Like, they're just doing the same things all the time. How do you not get bored of that? I'm getting bored of playing it the way I'm playing it because the way I'm playing it, it's like, man, I don't want to talk to anyone. I see a ship, I go the opposite way if I can. I avoid other players like the plague. And that's not healthy for your game because people who do want to play this, not all the time are they in this just for the PvP. Some of them are in it for the challenge. Some of them are in it for the missions and the quest. At least in the beginning, they will be. You know, every time I played a Call of Duty game, the first thing I did was play through the story mode. That's why I bought it. That was the point of me buying the game. Not to play online with other people and shooting at people who run around like chickens with their heads cut off, but to actually play the story and see the amazing graphics. And I would always have more fun doing that than actually playing with other people. But I would get good at playing through the story, and then I'd be like, oh, well, let me try taking on other players. Eventually, I got bored of playing Call of Duty, and I was like, okay, only thing I actually kind of find interesting is zombie mode. And even that got boring after a while. PvP is only interesting as long as you have something to gain. And this game, there's really nothing to gain except cosmetics and pissing off other players. That's it. You steal their stuff, you sell their stuff, you make gold, so you can go buy cosmetics, which all the best stuff isn't even buyable. You have to get it with real money. They don't even put things that are old that everybody who can buy it, put it into the store and just make it cost a ton of gold. Put some of the old stuff into the store that costs gold now. At least cycle through or something some of the materials so the players who don't have the money to buy this with real money can spend those millions of gold coins that aren't doing them crap good because, well, there's nothing of interest to them. I think Rare should also make more options. More in the way of, cosmetics. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I wish I could see brought into the game. And like I said, I just started and I'm already saying this. That's not a good sign. Not everybody can afford to buy the stuff in the store. And there's so much stuff in the store, it's like, well, I definitely ain't buying it all. Yeah, now sometimes I see that they do cycle. It seems like they talked about bringing. I've been watching the videos to try to get better at the PvP aspect. But I've been watching videos and I'm like, oh, they're bringing this back from Season 4. Well, I just started in Season 7, so, that's just my thoughts. And it seems with Season 8 that they're going to be focusing a lot more on this PvP thing. And I watched a video recently where this guy was talking about it, and he said, they need to make a little pop-up for when emissary flags go up that it alerts the player that you will be seen on the map. Thing is, unless there's another emissary, unless there's a Reaper, nobody's going to go near you. I see a Reaper. I see any. I don't even know if they're all Reapers. I'm pretty sure they are. I think only the Reapers are the ones that are seen. I don't know if every emissary is seen. You guys can tell me in the comments below. But usually, if I see someone on the map, it turns out they're a Reaper looking to increase their Reaper count. I've not seen other factions, emissaries, the Order of Souls, the Gold Hoarders, the Merchants Alliance. I haven't seen their emissaries on the map, I think. But if I did, I'd avoid them like the plague. And if every player is going out of their way to avoid you, how are you going to get your score up? You're going to pick on one ship that you can keep finding, or you're going to waste a lot of your life and time looking for those players who are avoiding you. Or maybe you get lucky and you find a constant enemy who just keeps coming around and you guys just keep fighting it out. Maybe that's how you guys have been so lucky. Although I have tried, and I don't know how people can end up on similar servers. Because my daughter just this past week got her own ship for the first time. And I actually tried. I logged into the game, got out of it, logged in, got out of it, and I was trying to find her server. I have no idea how many servers there are, so I finally gave up after like the 10th try of not finding the one she's at. And the way we were doing it too is she was at Sanctuary, and if I logged in to Sanctuary, I immediately logged out because I'm like, oh well, we're definitely not going to start the same island. And there was a Reaper chest that was unfound, that was like just a little ways off from Sanctuary, so she could see the spiral. And I was like, okay, so I look at my map, and if I don't see the Reaper mark where it is on hers, I'm like, okay, clearly we're not on the same server, because I should see the same mark in the same spot. So I don't know, but yeah. So if Season 8 is going to focus heavily on PvP, I really hope they will take into consideration that there are players, maybe there's only a few of us, but that's because the few of us that there are, and the more that exist out there, because there are people out there who probably do want to take the time and experience the tall tales. There are probably people out there who do want to unlock certain mysteries that are in the game. Like I found this chair on a rock on the north end of the map. I have no idea what it's for, why it's there, if anybody else has even found it in the years this game has been active, what it means. I didn't bother stopping because if I stop, I could get killed. And this is supposed to be a social game. How can you be social if you're worried that every single player is going to kill you? How can you work together? I just recently watched a video where these guys allianced with a new player and then broke the alliance once they had the treasure and killed the new player. And if it hadn't been for a certain YouTuber who actually took these guys to task and made them basically give the treasure to the newbie, then that player may never have come back. I know if it was me, I would not have come back. I'd be like, well, shit, you can't even trust people you're trying to enjoy the game with. You know, my daughter, she wants to play and just have fun. She doesn't want to fight. She just wants to sail around and play music. I don't know why. I've told her that's not the point of this game. I've told her that this game requires, you to actually pay attention and play and be ready to fight, and that she needs to learn. I have to still learn, and I'm still learning. So I don't know. I think hopefully season 9 or season 10 will finally, hopefully, come up with some solution for the PvP part, because the PvP has overshadowed the PvE. And there is a lot of good PvE content already in this game. I think that can be even better. So hopefully we will get something, and something will be done to help this part of the game out for new players. Like I said, it could be a training ground for new players. But I do not think that isolating the new players and not rewarding them, not giving them anything, no gold, no nothing, works. I mean, even the tutorial gives you some golden doubloons and items to start with that can carry over. So the PvE aspect should give you something too. Something that you can finally say, okay, I'm done. Now, once they're done with the tall tale, if they don't immediately go sell their treasure, they're unprotected at that time. If you want to try to swoop in and take them, that's fine. I can't argue against that. I mean, that's still pretty shitty that you would take their first good loot haul that they're going to get. I mean, even if it's just, 10 captain's chests. To me, that would be a great loot haul. Or 10 skulls. 10 villainous skulls. Or shoot, even both. 10 skulls, 10 chests, 10 crates. Gives you a nice little boost. Gives you a lot of gold, but not too much. That would be a good start for new players. And like I said, to make this work, all you have to do is once they got the tall tale, and once they've completed the first checkpoint, they cannot be sunk, because you can always get right back to the first checkpoint probably. Whatever the first, I mean, I don't know. I haven't played one yet. I've been too scared to try. Because at first, for the first month and a half, I was solo. It wasn't until, I think, right around my birthday. No, right after my birthday. That I actually got it on my PC, got it set up for my daughter, got her playing, and she can't play every day. She's got school, she's got to go to her mother's, I've got to work. So she doesn't get a chance to play every day, mostly on weekends or my days off. And sometimes those are the same days. So I think they need to seriously take a look at PvE and do something that can help, because PvE is going to be for the newest players. And once the new players have finished through all the tall tales, that's fine. they'll probably be ready to take on other players, as I've said. So, Rare, I really hope you listen to this. I know it's a long rant. It's probably as long as the rest of the podcast, but I really do think this would be beneficial to you. So, with that said, let's move on to our next section. Alright, so we are here, as I said at the beginning, we are going to be reviewing 2 more episodes of the Chucky TV series with Anime D Senpai, and we're going to get his thoughts on what he thinks of them. I've already seen them, so this is just a first time watch for you.
Alright, I got nothing to say except that probably will be surprised. I saw from the first 2 episodes, there's stuff I already didn't expect, so I'll just go episode by episode, I suppose.
Alright, so do you remember what happened in the first 2 episodes?
Chucky met Jake, and there's Jake's dad died in the first episode, and then and the maid or whatever died in the second, and there was that one girl, Lexi, she's a bitch. I did the whole GoFundMe thing. That was, and the ventriloquist act from Chucky, that was good.
You remember the party?
Oh, the party. Oh, jeez. You're referring to the freaking costume from Lexi? Oh, yeah, that I just want her dead.
Alright, well, we're going to go ahead and jump into these 2 episodes, and when we're done, we will come back and see what he thought of them. See you guys in a little bit.
Looking for something to pass the time? Need something good to read or listen to?
To get you ready for Halloween.
Do you like famous slashers like Jason, Freddy, Michael, or Ghostface? Do you wish there was something new and original that you could read on your phone or tablet? Or perhaps you like to grab a scary book and read by candlelight?
Check out these short stories, written by Sean Connaughton. When a mildly abusive man mistreats his bride-to-be on Halloween night, his neighbors decide to teach him a lesson. A lesson he won't soon forget when he finds himself in the witch's hole. And narrated by me, Tara Klein.
A Seattle detective, Scott Grimes, investigates a string of odd murders. But where this case ultimately leads him, he could never have predicted when he crosses paths with the legal murderer. And narrated by me, Brad Letson.
Join the Dunn family as they make their way to a vacation home for a weekend trip. However, when the sun goes down, things seem to get just as dark inside as outside. Stay with the Dunns and see if you can make it through The Mansion. Audiobook narrated by Dylan Poor.
This story follows Sir Godwin as he and a small group transport a lovely princess out of a soon-to-be war zone, and as they travel they must pass through some woods. However, things grow darker and more sinister the deeper into the woods they go, and they find what some believe to only be known as the Legend of Fort Blood. Narrated for you by Angela Strauman.
So, turn out the lights, light a candle, grab your phone or tablet, and download your ebook or audiobook now.
Currently available all year round on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes.
So don't miss out, and grab your copy today.
Alright, so we just finished watching episodes 3 and 4. I Like to Be Hugged and Just Let Go of the Chucky Season 1. So, generally, what did you think of these episodes?
A little different from what I expected. I fully expected, well, I mean, it seemed like there's been, like, an understanding between Jake and Lexi, which I did not see coming at all. Although Jake still hates Lexi, which rightfully so. I mean, I'm just surprised where the direction's going.
Okay, so in episode 3, we got a little bit more of Chucky's backstory as a kid.
That was interesting. Yeah, his little backstory as a kid, it was kind of interesting how he was so messed up, especially when that one killer walked in and I think killed his dad, I think, maybe. And Charles killed his mom.
Yeah. Well, I think that was the kill that saved his life, because if not, I'm pretty sure the killer would have killed them both anyway.
Oh, but yeah, I was fully expected that. I actually originally thought, Charles would have killed that other killer, and maybe the mom would have survived, but I guess not.
Well, maybe he'll hunt him down in a later episode or in the future of the series. So, after the events of the Halloween party, Jake is really considering what Chucky's been saying about killing, and it just seems like, I know what's going to happen, so try not to spoil anything, but it really seems like Chucky's got some kind of goal, doesn't it? Like, he's really pushing this kid Jake to become a killer.
I guess he's just going with his own history, because Chucky had his first kill at around that age, probably even younger. It's kind of hard to tell. I would say he was actually maybe younger.
Yeah, he was probably around like 9 or 10, I would say. So anyways, then Lexi wants Chucky to satisfy her sister, and at first Jake doesn't want to give up Chucky. Any thoughts about that?
Well, yeah, he didn't want to endanger anybody, so, and then he decided, well, he wanted Lexi dead, so he figured, well, he'll give Chucky over, and, well, it resulted in the death of one kid that Chucky didn't originally intend to kill, but Chucky ended up killing him anyways, because, well, kid saw him.
Yeah. Another thing, too, is, I didn't bring this up in the previous episode, but, technically, probably when this was all still being filmed and stuff, weed wasn't, commonplace, legal, and it still isn't even today. So, I'm going back to, I think it was, episode 1 or 2. I'm a little shocked, the parents of Lexi didn't get called in, and she wasn't drug tested or something when she made that statement to the teacher about smoking less weed before class.
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about that, and, after she was smoking in the house, I was, thinking, well, actually, yeah, I never connected those dots. I'm usually a bit slow, admittingly. So, but after pointing that out, yeah, she's actually clearly doing drugs, and she was the one that doing stuff, and Well, before class. I don't think she was doing stuff in the classroom.
No, she said to the teacher, her exact words were, "I gotta stop smoking so much weed before class."
Oh, I thought she was like telling.
And I'm surprised that they never took that to the principal, saying, "Yeah, she basically admitted she's doing weed before class, and we should probably have her drug tested."
Well, I guess I misheard her on that, but I was saying I thought Lexi was saying to the teacher that she should stop smoking weed, because implying the teacher, try and put blame on the teacher, saying the teacher's probably going a little crazy, so she can get out of the whole situation.
It was after she didn't really see Chucky come to life. Chucky was he fell off, and it was when the teacher came back with the principal. She kind of excused herself. Like, wait, I'm sorry, I'll take the detention. I gotta go. And I gotta stop smoking so much weed before class. But then, yes, the reason I bring that up, too, is because in this episode, we saw her smoking weed again, and it caught the entire house on fire. So I'm going to say the same thing I always say during that episode. This is why you don't spray your curtains with perfume, ladies.
Yeah, I don't have much thoughts on that one.
I mean, those curtains went up pretty damn fast, if you ask me.
Yeah, they lit up like they were sprayed with gasoline or something.
Well, I think there is alcohol in perfume. I'm not a perfume expert, but I'm pretty sure there's some kind of alcohol. And I don't know what they clean their house with, but they must clean their house with a ton of rubbing alcohol, because even the house started to go up pretty damn fast.
Yeah, I had I think I had a statement during the episode, but there was so much stuff going on that I can't even really remember all my thoughts. So I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I said something during that, but
did you have a favorite line in this episode?
Oh shoot.
As I always tell Cora when we do our D&D episodes, shameless plug right here. Basically, in my opinion, your favorite part of a movie or your favorite line from a show or movie is always going to be the one line that really is going to stick out from that episode or that TV or that movie or whatever.
Well, considering I've only seen these episodes once, it's kind of hard for me to pick one thing, because I'm watching this stuff for the first time. I'm just reacting, just enjoying the series. So I'm not really picking up on everything on my first run, like I probably should, but I'm not.
My favorite line was, "Snug is a fucking bug."
Oh, yeah, that one. But yeah, nothing really comes to mind right now for me.
Alright, so then moving into episode 4, we see the aftermath of the fire party. And surprisingly, Lexi made it out without a scratch.
Yeah, I was really shocked. I really wanted her to die. I do remember my reaction to that. I was thinking, there's no way in hell Chucky's that sloppy to where she would still be alive. And, well, I guess Chucky is that sloppy.
Well, I think we're going to come back around to that later in the series. But, Jake wasn't even there. He was off visiting his parents' grave. Junior had some damage to his lungs, which is surprising because, a lot of the people that got out alive didn't have any damage. I mean, even Devin didn't even have that much problems. And yet they want to perform surgery on Junior, but not Devin, and they were in the same room. They were practically dancing next to each other during the fire.
Yeah, they were all in close proximity with each other, so it's kind of weird. I mean, I'm not even sure if Devin even got... Did he even get any burns or anything at all?
No, they didn't get burns. They just had smoke ventilation damage from the fire.
Oh, well, I guess that's really no big deal, huh?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but...
Neither am I.
Moving on, I think the one who got it the worst was Lexi's sister. So my guess, as a writer, this is what I try to do. I don't think it's actually said anywhere in this, but I think everybody got out, and when the firefighters got there, I think Lexi's sister was probably still in there. So maybe at that moment, just before the firefighters showed up, maybe Junior ran back into the house to try to get the sister. Or maybe he even did go in there to get the sister for Lexi. And maybe that's why he had more damage and the sister had more damage. And Lexi was just fine because she got out of the house and was undamaged because she was out first.
Yeah, that does make sense. And, I think, isn't Junior an athlete?
Yes.
So, considering that he's an athlete, I'm pretty sure, you would have, some minimal damage. I'm sure if he was not an athlete, you would probably be a lot worse off than he actually was. But, yeah, Lexi's sister, yeah, that whole thing checks out with me.
This goes more to what I will be talking about in the next segment of show versus telling and how people ignore that, but we'll get to that when I get to that section. So, continuing on though, Chucky is not really nowhere to be seen, though we see glimpses of him. It seems running in the hallways of the hospital, right?
Yeah, after they get back to the hospital, after visiting the house, we do see him running around the hospital.
But then they get back to the house, and I pointed something out. So, Jake confronts Lexi, and she gets all pissed off that he sent Chucky after her.
Yeah, am I forgetting something? I don't remember seeing Chucky at the hospital before they go to the house.
Well, they kind of do. I can show you a little later on, but they do show kind of Chucky at the hospital before the house. So I'll go back and I'll show you. But anyways, when we finally do see Chucky, how's he looking?
Terrible, stuff of nightmares. Although he's looked worse, so he's at least that.
When has he looked worse?
Second movie, I believe.
When he got cut in half, chopped off his own hand, or covered in plastic. Which one?
Maybe all those.
I honestly thought you were going to say the first movie where he got burned, but even then he didn't look as bad.
Well, I mean, actually...
This is all melted like half face.
Yeah, actually, all the movies he got pretty bad. He got shredded, melted. He's actually intact, pretty much.
Like you said, his weaknesses are bullets, knives, axes, large industrial fans. All actual examples. So anyways, we get back to the hospital, and Chucky just couldn't help himself. He had to get rid of somebody. Who was it?
I don't even know. He was just some poor guy. He was just some random guy. don't really know who he was.
That was the detective's partner, Jake's mom's partner.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, he was. I knew he was some kind. I figured he was some kind of detective, but I wasn't really paying attention to who he was because I knew he was gonna probably die, so I just didn't care.
So everybody,
I learned that Chucky likes hospitals, so.
yeah, he does. Well, that's because Don Mancini likes hospital horror for some reason.
And if anyone didn't hear me, I might have been a little low. I was thinking we did learn that Chucky likes hospitals. That's what I said.
But anyways, so we leave off the 4th episode with 3 of them knowing about Chucky being alive. And what is your thoughts at the end of the 4th episode on, we'll say, the 3 main characters?
A bit surprising, and Chucky seemed to just flip them off, like he's egging them on, like he's challenging them.
Well, let's go through each character. First, we'll start with Devin.
Well, Devin did the whole research about Charles Lee Ray, so he knows about the history, but he never bought into the whole thing about Chucky.
And what about Jake?
Well, I'm not sure if Jake knows all of Charles Lee Ray's backstory, but he knows at least some things.
And finally, how do you feel about Lexi?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. I mean, I should want her dead, but now I'm conflicted with Lexi.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people were highly in the camp. They were like, oh, I really hope they don't try to make us like this girl. I don't want to like her. I want to see her dead. And like, oh, it was kind of nasty. When this came out, every YouTuber, every reviewer was like, I want her dead. Kill this character off now. We don't want her. And I don't know. I don't know if they...
Oh, one thing about that, if I can... Since she's escaped death so many times, I don't think she'll be dead at the end of this series. She's escaped death at least 4 times now. I lost count.
Yeah. Well, there again, like I said, when we actually finish this first season, I'm going to have a question for you, and I'm going to bring back to the episode 3, the house party incident, because there's a major problem. So another major problem I discovered that not a lot of people probably noticed is so as Lexi and Jake are leaving the hospital to go back to the house to go get Chucky, she says that she needs a shower. And in the very next scene, when we see them, she's got all her clothes are changed, but her hair is dry as can be. So even if she like put her hair up or something, where did she go to get clothes? Because all her clothes should be in her house, and they didn't even make it to her house yet.
I don't think there's really much that could be said about that other than just continuity inconsistency or whatever the term is. They obviously filmed the one scene about them saying that she needs to take a shower at one day, and then another day they show them going at the house and she was in different clothes, so they probably didn't really realize she was wearing different clothes from the other scene.
It's a pretty big error, though. I mean, it would have made sense, like, if they were already in the house and she came out and, like, Jake was watching, the bathroom or something for her while she changed her clothes and took a shower. I don't know. They could have done it a little differently. There's a lot of things they could have done differently. But overall, would you say you like these 2 episodes more than the previous 2? Less than the previous 2?
They were less cringe because I'm starting to really know the characters a little bit better, and Jake, is actually being more focused instead of weird.
Yeah. Alright, so we'll be back next time with more of the Chucky Season 1 review by Anime D Senpai, and I'll, kind of be there. So, I'm sorry I didn't do this for the entire series during the run, but I am trying to get him to do this as quick as possible so we can do the Season 2 reactions as they hopefully come out. So hopefully we'll get to that in no time at all. So anyways, moving on to my next topic real quick. So I was talking with you about the term Mary Sue, and we were talking about Rey from the Disney sequels, and you tried to look up on your own, who was the first Mary Sue. And I actually found a video saying that the first Mary Sue to ever be what the term Mary Sue kind of is from a Star Trek fan fiction, which honestly, in my opinion, completely dismisses that entire thing. But that's not what we're really talking about right now. What I'm talking about is showing versus telling. And there's a lot of times I feel like readers, TV watchers, movie watchers don't pay attention to when things are shown versus telling. Like I've talked about in the past with you, we argue about Star Wars a lot.
That's a given, yes. But for the audience, if you don't know, which you probably don't, yes, we argue a lot about Star Wars. We are constantly in circles. We never agree. So I just say let's just agree to disagree.
But anyways, there's a lot of points that can be made when you break it down to showing versus telling. In the original trilogy, the very first time Luke basically talks about flying, Han says, well, who's going to fly? And Luke responds, I will. And Han makes a comment, and then Luke says that he's a great flyer or something like that, right?
I think Luke actually says, yeah, you bet I can. I can fly.
But it's still the beginning of the movie. And we never actually see Luke fly a ship until the end of the movie. Which, yes, at that point, they show Luke flying. And he's doing a really good job. In fact, he's the best of all of the fighters. But a lot of people were like calling Rey a Mary Sue because, she's so perfect. She knows how to do everything. And I've argued the fact with you that, well, no, they show us early on she has a lot of technical skills because she spent her entire life pretty much taking ships apart for scraps so she could buy food to eat. That's showing you she knows how to deal with technical things, right?
Yeah, I haven't really watched the sequels that much because I don't like them, so I forget some of the details. But I do remember some of that.
But the very first thing we're shown with Rey on screen is her taking parts out of an old Star Destroyer. You remember that?
I do remember her being in the ruins of an ET or something or whatever. What was she in? That was.
I think that's where she made her home, was in the ruins of an AT. I think she was in the ruins of a Star Destroyer when we first see her.
I guess I forgot about that. Honestly, sorry about that. Again, nothing to say there.
But then, she goes and she tries to sell those parts. So she must know what they're worth. And then another thing too is we are shown when the First Order shows up that she does know how to fly a ship. And although she doesn't come directly out and say she's a pilot, she does have a conversation with Finn, basically making it seem as she's been on the Falcon and many other ships before, working for Cardum Plump or whatever that dude's name was. Simon Pegg's character. But she makes comments that she's been on other ships before.
I just know him as a pay guy. That's all I know him as.
But she makes comments that, yeah, she is kind of, young, but Anakin was young too. And Anakin was using the Force before he even knew how to use the Force.
Yeah, Anakin was younger.
Most Force users in the Star Wars movies, games, everything, they use the Force on some level before they're ever trained to become Jedis. Similarly to the way, like, mutants will use their mutant powers in X-Men before Charles and Magneto would show up to take them to the school.
I do have one little thought. That one scene where Yoda's training the younglings, those younglings are probably no older than, I'd say, 6. So I'd say people in the Star Wars universe are probably show like Force powers, probably when they're just infants.
Yeah, some of them probably adapt. And as I pointed out before, too, we're never actually told this. And that's why I think the Disney sequels get so much hate, is because they do a much better job of showing you rather telling you. Is everything in the Disney sequels perfect? No. You can go back to the originals, though, and say, not everything is perfect. Like, there's a worm in a freaking asteroid. How is that worm alive in space? Apparently it doesn't need oxygen to survive. There are moments there where they show you rather than tell you. And those little breathers, are those enough to give them oxygen? Because I'm sorry, they'd still be in deep space.
Well, in terms of being in deep space, their lungs would still expand because they're in a vacuum, so they would need to be in a pressurized suit.
But, they only had that one little thing over their mouths. They didn't have full suits on.
No, they did not have a full suit on.
And they definitely weren't within any planet atmosphere. So, like I said, there's problems all throughout Star Wars here and there.
Although I would like to add, it's been scientifically stated that people can survive in a vacuum of space without a suit for about a minute, but then they will die.
Yeah. And then you had those other creatures, too, that were living inside that worm, since the Falcon was parked inside that worm. But going back to what I was saying, though, Disney, with the Star Wars sequels, they showed us Rey was a good pilot. They showed us that she was a good engineer because she grew up in that world. Simon Pegg's character, as I've told you before, I haven't really had this talk with the audience, I think, but Simon Pegg's character probably hired her on and taught her how to fly the ships, so when he had to go make business trips...
As far as that goes, I doubt he would have her fly something like the Falcon. You'd probably just have her fly some piece of crap ship that has no importance to him, that if something happened to it, he wouldn't care.
I think... Oh, first off, they did view the Falcon that way. The other ship was newer. She's made a point to say that to Finn as they were running. That's why she was running towards it, because it was a newer ship. That's why she called the Falcon a piece of junk, because he just won that or something off somebody. Because somebody stole it from Han, and then he took it off their hands. And then it just kind of sat there, and he must have got a new ship. That's why she called that one junk. So yeah, she probably did fly the Falcon before. And more to the point, that dude's a pretty big lazy guy. I mean, he doesn't go out looking for these parts himself that he's going to sell. He sends other people to go out and get it and pays them for it. So it's more than likely, yes, he would teach her how to fly the ship so he could sit back and relax the whole trip.
Yeah, I tend to like try not to remember that character because honestly, you know what, with like a lot of the characters that JJ and Rian Johnson made, they are just like one-off characters that don't really seem to matter. Like the what are those knights called?
The Knights of Ren?
Yes, the Knights of Ren. They were made to be such a big deal, and then we see them in Rise of Skywalker, they say, oh, it's the Knights of Ren, and they make a big deal out of it, but we don't care, at least I don't care, about them.
Well, that's because they don't really get any screen time. I have a feeling the more and more Disney keeps making their TV shows, which from my understanding, the Star Wars TV shows are doing phenomenal, and the Marvel TV shows are not. They need to figure out what's going on there and make them both work. But anyways, the whole point of this is they show you. Rey does not have to tell anybody she is a good pilot because she shows her skills in the moments. I've heard a lot of YouTubers say, well, there's no setup to why she can fly. Because she hasn't been in a situation yet in the movie to need to fly the ship. She was on a planet. And she had no reason, no need to be in a ship. She's poor. She didn't have a car of her own. She had to steal a car. Doesn't mean she doesn't know how to drive. But they do a good job of showing you she can do stuff, which does not make her a Mary Sue. As I've talked about, I think in a previous video, I've actually made the point to say, another thing they often say about Mary Sues is that Mary Sues are perfect at everything they do. They don't fail. Yet we see Rey fail a couple times, several times. Kylo Ren is walking straight towards her in a straight line and barely has to do anything, and she can't land a single shot with a blaster at like 3 feet away. And she tries the memory or the trick with the guard, and it doesn't work the first time. But it does work again when she does it the second time.
This is just a joke. Maybe she fails to hit Kylo Ren at first because she hung around Finn, who is a former stormtrooper.
Possible.
So he infected her.
Actually, on that topic, I actually saw a motorcycle, and it looked like a stormtrooper, and it was like white, and it had on the very front of it like a stormtrooper helmet, and it said safest motorcycle in the world. It won't hit anything. But no, I mean, basically that is my opinion. I mean, everything with her is shown. And they don't really tell you because they don't need to tell you. Whereas George Lucas, sorry to say, especially with the first Star Wars, he went out of his way to tell the audience before showing the audience. Here, they just show you. And they kind of tell you, but they work it in a more natural way. The conversation she has with Finn and the conversation she has with, especially with Han, when her and Han are sitting there at the controls while Finn is trying to heal Chewie, you know, there's a whole conversation about what Simon Pegg's character did to the Falcon and how she thought it was a mistake. That right there tells you not only has she been in the cockpit before and she knows how the ship works because she was there when the adjustments were made, but it tells you she has a technical understanding of the Falcon, like she's probably studied it. So on those trips, you know, because she was kind of left in his care. That's what we kind of get from the quick flashback of hers with him pulling on her arm. Like she was sold off or she was given away to this guy to be protected or held. Looked like you wanted to say something.
No, I got nothing.
Oh. So, and I've noticed this a lot, you know, not just with Star Wars. I'm just using Star Wars as a prime example.
Because it's your favorite thing.
Well, it's one of my favorite things. And, you know, like I've always said on this channel, I don't understand why everybody hates the new stuff. It's not that bad. Does it have bad things? Yes. Is everything perfect? No. Everything is not going to land for everybody. That's just the world we live in. But, you know, there are good parts of it. And the misconceptions that people have, like I said, I think I've talked about this in a previous video. I'm not sure, but if I haven't, let me repeat myself. If I have. There was a time right before The Rise of Skywalker came out. I was so on the fence. I had no clue what they were going to do. That's the beauty of what we got with Star Wars right now, is they can take the story in any direction they want. There is no limit to what they can do. If they stuck with the expanded universe, then they would have had to follow a limited number of stories. They would have just been converting books into movies, which doesn't work most of the time. And don't tell me it does in the comments, because guess what? 9 times out of 10, everybody first bitches that the book was better. So Disney said, well, we're going to cherry pick from the expanded universe, but forget everything you know about the expanded universe, because that's not going to be canon. What we make from now on will be canon, which I can understand. They bought the property. They can change the house the way they want it. They can redesign it the way they want it. But the foundation's great. So we're keeping the foundation. We're just going to change other things. So, with that analogy, you know, it's like they want different windows, but they want the windows downstairs, upstairs now. So it's just a matter of, you know, what they want to do with it. And not everything they do is bad. But like I was saying, when Rise of Skywalker came out, when it was being released, first off, a script got leaked, so people knew exactly what was going... Well, they knew kind of what was going to happen before things happened. And one of the biggest things was the very end, when Rey goes and, you know, buries the lightsabers. Well, first off, the way I heard it, and I don't remember if you remember this or not, but the way I swear we both heard it was that people were claiming that she moves into Luke's old family farm home.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like thinking that is one thing that I did find frustrating. I am one that does not like the sequels. I do not like the sequels at all. But I will admit, you know, when people stretch things a little too far, and yeah, that is not what happened. She did not go there to move into the Lars homestead.
No, she went back there because she was burying basically the only remains of Luke and Leia that there are, because their bodies evaporated into the Force, and that was their only remnants to the Force, was their lightsabers. So it was kind of like a symbolic, Japanese, I guess, style ceremony.
Yeah, it was also where I'll let you finish that in just a second. Well, go ahead, finish.
But not only that, too, it was the only home that either of them had. Because Leia grew up on Alderaan, and Alderaan does not exist anymore. It was blown up. So she couldn't take Leia's lightsaber and bury it in the castle grounds of Alderaan. So she buried her lightsaber alongside her brother's, where her brother grew up, in the family home that belonged to the Skywalkers, the Lars homestead. It was a symbolic gesture. She wasn't moving in. She looks at the Falcon as she's getting ready to leave before that woman asked her the question, who she was. And to that, I've already gone on. I have a whole video talking about why she might or is technically a Skywalker. I mean, no matter which way you cut it, she kind of is a Skywalker now. So, but just as a refresher, spoiler alert, I guess, she's a Skywalker because she has the soul or spirit or life force of a Skywalker inside her. Because Ben was a Skywalker, technically, and a Solo, and he gave her life to her. So, and yeah, so that basically makes her a Skywalker.
Yeah, that logic does make sense. So, I mean, I can't really dispute that.
And that's something where they tell you, through that action, which you saw earlier, through them showing it, that is something that they show versus telling. And that's what I'm trying to point out here, is, when people, they always say writers, you above all should know this more than anyone. We're always told, show versus tell. Show what you're doing. Show the actions. Don't tell it. But sometimes, lately, I'm starting to wonder, because it seems like people need to be told. If you watch any CinemaSins videos, they always have to be like, oh, well, they didn't tell us this. They didn't tell us that. Why are they showing us instead of telling us? It's like, and then quite the opposite too. Why are they telling us? Why don't they just show us the power? Because apparently it doesn't work either way. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's my thoughts. But I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I would like to thank everybody so much for watching. And like I said, we will be back next time. And we will be doing episodes 5 and 6. Maybe 7.
Maybe. We'll see how things are.
Yeah. Like I said, hopefully we can get through Season 1 pretty darn quick. So we can get into Season 2 before it gets too deep into the season. Trying to get him caught up here. So, alright, with that said, I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye.